Good evening, everyone. Good evening. This is Reverend Vanita Weathers here with Mind the Mental Monday. I'm glad for those that are tuning in. It's been a few weeks since I've been here, and so I'm happy and excited to come and share tonight some of the things that I have to share. So I hope that you will get others to tune in as well. And because we have a very important topic tonight, I'm going to tell you kind of a little bit about how I came about wanting to do something on self-rejection, from self-rejection to self-reflection. And so I'm going to give a minute for those who are tuning in. Put in the chat where you are tuning in from. Let me know where you're coming from, whether you're on Facebook or on Instagram. Let me know where you're tuning in from. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel, where you can see all of the Mind the Mental Mondays that I've done so far. And make sure you go over to YouTube at Benita Weathers 329 and subscribe to my YouTube channel so that you can get all the episodes of Mind the Mental Monday. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and jump right in. So as you all know, one of the things that I like to do with Mind the Mental Monday is to just talk about topics around our mental health, talk about topics that relate to, in particular, trying to be proactive about our mental health, making sure that we are being intentional about taking care of our mental health on a daily basis. So not sort of waiting until something happens, but making sure that we have tools in place and that we're utilizing those tools intentionally to take care of ourselves holistically. And so not just sort of wait until we're having an off day, but to make sure that we are not only have tools in place, but we are readily able to use them whenever we need them. And so I also just do a lot of talking about topics that just sort of relate to or that impact our mental health. And I think a big thing that impacts our mental health really is how we view ourselves, how we think about ourselves. So last week, I did not do a formal Mind the Mental Monday, but I just did a little short live on Instagram. And I was talking about, I was sharing with everyone that how sometimes it's difficult just being authentic. And what I mean by that is that it's difficult just accepting yourself sometimes for who you are. There's so much comparison that we do, especially on social media, but not even just on social media, just even in our communities, with people that we know, within our families. We tend to look at what others are doing and compare what others are doing to what we're doing or not doing. And we get to a place where we um, might not really fully embrace our authentic selves. Might not fully embrace who we are authentically. And when we do that, so when we don't accept who we are in our authentic selves, it tells our creator, it communicates to our creator that he made a mistake in making us who we are. But one thing that I pointed out last week in the little short live that I did last week was that there is a 1 in 400 trillion chance that we are here, right? So each individual on this earth, there's a 1 in 400 trillion chance that you would be who you are, right? Who you were born to be. And so that tells me that we are created with intentionality, that we are created in the way that we are meant to be. right? And so when we don't accept who we are in our authentic selves, it's like we're telling our creator that, you made a mistake. You need to go back to the drawing board. You need to do better. And so, as I was started thinking more about that, the piece about being authentic and being okay with whoever you are authentically, yesterday, yes, yesterday was Sunday. We get my days mixed up here. But yesterday, my husband preached a sermon that talked about how many times we might be rejected by people, but we're still chosen by God. And while he was really focusing on the sermon was, from rejection, um, no, it was rejected, but still chosen. And as he was preaching really about being rejected by other people, right? And all of us have faced rejection of some sort from somebody else, whether it's been like a breakup or a job that didn't go well, or people that we've disagreed with and who have disagreed with us and our perspectives about things. I mean, there's all kinds of ways that we can experience rejection, and yet God has still chosen us to be who he authentically created us to be. And so while he was really focused on other people's rejection tonight, it got me to really thinking about self-rejection, because I think that the self-rejection is one of the most toxic things that we might find within ourselves. Because I think steeped in the idea that we want to compare ourselves to others, steeped in the idea that we sort of covet what other people have or what other people do or other people's abilities, steeped in that is self-rejection, because you weren't created to be the people that we're comparing ourselves to be on purpose. That was done intentionally. Each individual on this earth is created uniquely on purpose and with purpose. And so I think that when we reject our own selves, when we're filled with this the spirit of I don't really like who I am authentically, when we go through all the what I'm not, right? All the I'm not pretty enough. I'm not smart enough. I'm not affluential enough. I don't have the kinds of finances that I need. I don't have the best car. I don't have the best home. Just all the things, all the what I'm not. When we go through all of the what I'm not, we're in a place of self-rejection where we are not focused on what's really important, which is what we are, what we do have, what we have accomplished, and where our accomplishments can take us. So I really want tonight to encourage each and every one of us to be careful to not get steeped in self-rejection. And I wanted to kind of review some steps to going from self-rejection to self-reflection. Because when we are able to really take some time to step back, to sit down, to sort of get away from the hustle and bustle for a minute, and really just reflect on who we truly are, who we were created to be, reflect on, what we do have, what gifts we do have versus what we don't have, Everybody has different gifts. So, not everybody has the same gifts. And I think a lot of times when we're comparing ourselves to others, we're kind of like, oh man, I wish I was that smart. Well, it's not that you're not smart. It's just that sometimes we're more knowledgeable in certain areas than in other areas. So that doesn't mean that you're not smart. It just means that your knowledge base is here where somebody else's knowledge base is here. And so just like you might think that you should be more knowledgeable in certain areas, that person might wish that they were as smart as you are in the areas that you're more knowledgeable about. And so, I know that we have all of these tests and all the IQ and all these different standards that were created basically to keep certain people in a subservient and submissive capacity. And so people with power will say that these are the things that you should be knowledgeable about. And if you're knowledgeable about these things, if you can score this on this test, and if you can, get have a 4.0 GPA and have all the things, then that makes you somebody. And so somebody who doesn't have a 4.0 in a certain topic, they might have a 4.0 in some other topic, but there are all of these scales and things that are put in place for the specific purpose of trying to make certain groups inferior to other groups, right? So what we have to understand is that a lot of times when we have self-rejection, that self-rejection comes from usually from things that have been told to us by others in our lives. And so, some people might have been told, by a teacher that, you're not smart. You're not ever going to achieve anything. You won't ever be able to be, anybody who is reputable. And so a lot of times when we are rejected by others, it leads to a rejection of our own selves. And when we reject our own selves, that is a very dangerous place to be, because as we reject ourselves, we are also putting into the atmosphere that rejection of ourselves. And so when others encounter us, they sense that spirit and sometimes even grab on to it, right? And try to push us down even more. So we can't afford to push our own selves down. We can't afford to reject our own selves. We have to walk in the authority that we are given to be the unique 1 in 400 trillion chance person that God created us to be, and be unapologetic about walking in that. So I want to go over just a few steps. If you have something to write with, that we want you to consider as you are going from self-rejection to self-reflection. So the first step is to answer the question, where is the self-rejection coming from? Where is it coming from? Is it coming from something that you grew up hearing about yourself? Is it coming from, something that a close friend said to you, maybe? And sometimes, and I think I've said this before, that sometimes people will like make a joke, right, about you that's kind of puts you down. It's a joke in their mind, but you're taking it in as this is based on a real feeling. And it's not funny, right? It's not funny. It's not funny to me. And so a lot of times, we will base our self-rejection on what we interpret as somebody else's rejection of us. And we will internalize it and take it as our own. And then we will go about in life with an attitude of, I'm not worthy. I'm not worthy of, having a good life, or I'm not worthy of having, things that make me happy. And so we have to get to a place of reflecting on, where is this even coming from? And again, as I always say, sometimes some of these questions that we need to think about are questions that we can't necessarily unpack alone. Sometimes we need to unpack it with someone who is trained, and licensed and educated and has a specific knowledge base that will allow us the tools that we need to navigate the question of, where is this self-rejection coming from? So if you need to tap into a therapist, or even a grief counselor or a grief specialist, then do what you need to do in order to help you to answer that question and sort of figure out that root. Because when you're not able to pull it up by the root, it can grow back. So if there's a weed in your yard, if you don't get that weed by the root, and then kind of destroy the base of the weed, if you just sort of kind of mow it and just kind of basically cut the top part of the weed is just going to grow right back, right? So sometimes we need therapy in order to pull those painful self-rejection up by the weed, and kill it, right? And so when we pull that up by the root, when we pull that self-rejection up, well, now we want to replace it with something. We don't want to just kind of leave a hole there. We want to plant something new. We want to plant something that will grow and that will flourish and that will prosper into some really good, awesome fruit, right? So after we pull that self-rejection up, we have to assess, how do we get there? How do we get to a place where we reject ourselves, where we reject our authenticity, where we reject who we were naturally created to be? How do we get to that place? And once we sort of understand how we get there, we kind of have to do that mirror work of then saying, okay, now that I understand where the self-rejection has come from, and I know how I got to this place, now I have to do the work of, what is unique about me? What are my unique characteristics that I was born with? What is unique about me? What is special about me? What is it that I can use in my unique abilities, to make this world a better place? What is it? What do I have within me? What do I have? And write it down. Like, write down those good qualities that that are unique to you. That these are my qualities, and this is what I have to offer. And then turn those unique qualities into your own personal affirmations that will build you up, in your authenticity, and that will help you to reflect on those things that are good about you. And now, if you might see some things within yourself that you feel like can stand to be changed. That's okay. I'm not saying that any of us is perfect, right? There's no such thing as a perfect human being, right? Except Jesus. And that was it. That he's a one and done of perfection in the earthly realm, in these earthly bodies. But we are not perfect. And so, but in order for us to actually grow in our authenticity and grow out of self-rejection, we must reflect on who we are. And at the end of the day, you want to be able to love who you are, regardless of what anybody else says about you, regardless of what anybody else has tried to, any other poison pills anybody else has tried to implant in your mind. You have to get to a place where you can look at yourself in the mirror, and as you're doing that mirror work, you're able to say, you know what, girl, I love you. You have to get to a place where you can love who you are, love you for how you look, love you for whatever size you are, for whatever color you are, however your hair is. Love you. Because guess what? There is a 1 in 400 trillion chance that you would be you, which tells us that our creator, the creator of this entire universe and the creator of everything in it, our creator intentionally wanted us to be different, intentionally wanted us to be unique, intentionally wanted us to have unique characteristics and unique capabilities that we can share to make this world a better place. Think of how boring it would be if everybody looked alike, agreed about everything, did everything the same. Like, this would be one boring world, right? It would be a boring world without you in it. We need you. Yeah, you on IG, you on Facebook, you on YouTube. The world needs you, right? And all of your uniqueness and all of your beauty and all of your grandeur, because nobody else can do that. That's the one job that nobody else can do, is be you. Y'all hear me? That's the one job that no one else can do, is to be you. And so if we're going to move from self-rejection, we have to move to self-reflection and figure out where is that self-rejection coming from, and get the help that we need to navigate those waters and come out on the other side appreciating, with a self-appreciation, appreciating who God made us to be, and appreciating that nobody else can do that. Not a single person in this entire world of the trillions of people that now occupy this place called Earth. There's not one person, and I know that they say everybody has a twin that has some kind of look-alike, but even twins have a different set of prints. Even identical twins have different fingerprints. So even identical twins have something unique and different about them. And so I want to encourage us that to go from rejecting ourselves and rejecting our authentic selves, to move from, trying to copy what somebody else is doing, or desiring what somebody else is doing, or what somebody else has, or how somebody else is living, and enjoy who you are. Is that easy? No, it's not an easy journey, but it is a journey that is worth taking. Because if we are able to reflect on ourselves and able to get to a place where we love who we are authentically, then we are able to really share that light and be that light in the world that we are intended to be. And so when you come up with those unique qualities and those unique abilities, um, not only write them down and not only come up with your own affirmations based on who you are authentically, but reflect on those unique abilities intentionally and tell yourself who you are. Tell yourself who you are. And don't let anybody else define you for you. Because I believe that a lot of self-rejection comes out of allowing other people to define us for us. And that is something that we cannot afford to do. We cannot afford to allow others to define who we are. The only one who can define who we are is the one who created us. And the one who created us defined us as created in his image and likeness, fearfully and wonderfully made, right? That's how we are defined by our creator. So I don't care what anybody else tells you. I don't care what seeds have been planted in your mind about you and about who you are. I want you to uproot those negative thoughts about you and replace them with the seeds of who you really are authentically, who you truly are and who you truly are meant to blossom to be. All right? So where is the self-rejection coming from? Think about that. Answer that question for yourself. How did it get there? What is unique about you, and how can you use your unique abilities in the world? And reflect on those unique abilities intentionally. Create your own affirmations based on who you are and your authenticity, and then do the work to love yourself unapologetically. Unapologetically. Am I saying to like go around and be cocky? I'm not saying to be cocky, but what I am saying is that you can be confident and that you're fearfully and wonderfully made. You can be confident and that you are made in the image of God. You can be confident that you are authentically made intentionally and with purpose and with specificity. I'm going to say it one more time because I know y'all sick of hearing it. But 1 in 400 trillion chances that you would be you. That means that your creator, created you with intentionality and with perfection, right? Even though we're imperfect, we're perfectly imperfect. You get that? We're perfectly imperfect. So embrace yourself for who you are. If there are things about yourself that need work, because we all need work, we are all works in progress, but we can be works in progress and still be our authentic selves. We can be works in progress and still love who we are, still love who we were created to be. And so encourage yourself. Those thoughts that you have that were placed there, maybe years ago, maybe in your childhood, things that you were told about yourself that you internalized and you believed and you held on to. It takes work and it takes time. It takes a process to get through what has been implanted, to get all the way, because if it's something that was planted in you many years ago, like in your childhood, and you're now 50 plus or whatever the age you are, imagine how deep that root has grown. And the deeper the root, the harder it is to pull it up, to pull that weed up completely by the root. That means the more work you have to do to dig down deep in yourself, to get down to those roots and cut them off. But there's still an opportunity to plant something new. That's the beauty about this, that there is still an opportunity to plant new seeds. You don't have to hold on to any negative, traumatic seeds that were planted in you early in your life. There is an opportunity to rip those out and plant new seeds. So I want to encourage you to do it. But you have to be intentional, and you have to be determined. You have to be determined that I'm going to rip this weed out and I'm going to replace it with those seeds that tell me the truth about who I am, that tell me the truth about my authentic self. And I'm going to walk in that authenticity, and I'm going to walk in it, and whatever anybody has to say about it, I'm going to hold my head up. I'm going to put my shoulders back. I'm going to stick my chest out and be the authentic, beautiful, beautifully, wonderfully made in the image of God human that I am. And whomever has issues with that, guess what? As I say all the time, it's their issue. It's not yours. All right? So I may talk a little more about this topic of self-rejection, but in order to get to a place of fulfillment, you have to go from self-rejection to self-reflection. And as you reflect on what those things are, those deeply held insecurities, and those deeply held negative poison pills that have been placed in you, as you reflect on where they came from, you give yourself an opportunity to then get to the root, pull that root up, plant something new, plant a new seed or some new seeds, and it's up to you. You have the power within you to plant the seeds within you. Don't wait for somebody else to do it. Don't wait for somebody else to pay you a compliment. Don't give somebody else that kind of power. You have the power within you to direct who you are, and to plant the kinds of seeds that will blossom into fruit that will not only be beneficial for you, but that will be beneficial to your family, your community, and this world. All right? It's in there. It's already in you. One more point. I'm going to leave it here. When I will never forget my 6th grade graduation. Now, let me tell you, that was a long time ago. It was a really long time ago. But I still remember the message from my 6th grade graduation, and the speaker for that graduation said to us that everything that you are or that you will become is already planted in you. It's already there. But it's up to you to nurture the right seeds with the right nutrients. What are those nutrients? In a real plant, we nurture them with water and sunlight. Well, we have to nurture ourselves in the same way. We nurture ourselves by being mindful of the messages that we're taking in. We have the ability to accept messages or reject them. Well, if there are messages that are putting you down or making you feel beneath someone or making you feel low, then that's a message that you can reject. But when you reject that message, you have to replace it. It's not enough just to reject it. You've got to reject it, and then you've got to replace it with a new message, right? So we have to be careful. What are we putting in our minds? What messages are we allowing to take root in our minds? What are we looking at? What are we listening to? What kind of music are we listening to? What kind of, media are we absorbing? We have the power to make the determination of what we will feed our minds. So, that really has a lot to do with whether or not we go from self-rejection to self-reflection. If we continually feed our minds garbage, then, there's a saying, you are what you eat, right? We constantly feeding ourselves garbage, then that's how we'll think of ourselves. But we're not garbage. That's not what we were made to be, right? We are beautiful, beautiful human beings who have gifts and abilities that we can offer this world. And so I'm encouraging you tonight that if you are in a place of self-rejection, if you're in a place where you feel like your authentic self is not good enough, you're in a place where you feel like you're comparing yourself to others and you are desiring to be like someone else, I want you to take some time to reflect on where it's coming from, rip it up by the root, replace it with those good seeds, give it the nutrients that it needs to grow into the productive fruit that will nourish you for the rest of your life, and not only nourish you, but nourish those that love you, nourish your family, your close friends, your community, the different communities you might be involved in, and ultimately this world. All right. All right, guys, be encouraged. Thank you for tuning in. And tune back in next Monday, 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time for Mind the Mental Monday. Be blessed, and remember, don't reject yourself. Reflect and get to know and love you for the authentic you that you are. God bless. Good night.